and good evening. Welcome to Hope Channel Ghana and welcome to day 2 of the Manual Week. We started off yesterday by introducing to you the church manual as the constitution for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The church manual is intended to create order and oneness in our systems of governance. We also started with some amendments that had been done, and we would see in the 20th edition of the church manual. These are amendments voted at the GC session that was held in June. Today we'll continue with the discussion by looking at some amendments made to the provisions on the nominating committee. So welcome once again to the show. My name is Solis Asafo, and I'm here with Pastor, I almost said Pastor Kwabnachu. I'm here with Pastor Nana Kofi Nimako. Pastor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. So today we want to look at the amendments on the nominating committee. And I think it's timely because once we enter October, local churches would start the process of nominating an organizing committee to nominate the nominating committee. So the changes that have been made, we start off with the nominating committee and the election process. So we find that on page 72, chapter 9 on elections, page 1110 to 113. And the changes are as follows. Okay, we are not projecting them this evening, but they would soon come up. It says officers are elected every 1 or 2 years through an appointed nominating committee. So that has been the prevailing order. It's a 1-year term, but it can go for 2 years. Now the amendment says that in exceptional circumstances and in consultation with the conference, the term of office may be extended an additional year, making it 3 years. So but here the clause is exceptional circumstances.
So we have always had the two.
Yes.
The traditional 1 year, or at business accepting for them to run a 2-year term.
Yes.
And then this one introduces, so there is an insertion in that particular paragraph. The actually say, so what the kasafa kwaya ye faso eyi mpanimfo ema asafo no a ye frɛ no nominating committee na kodisa adwumason no unhu sɛ saa bia na kasafa ho no ye di wo manual foforo no mu no a sɛ nyame ya adom na sɛ ye nya book na ebeye the 20th edition no ye de ntwerɛ ni bi aka ho abɛhyɛ mu ama emu ada ho na sɛ ye kɔ no ye behu ade kronti a ye de sa ntwerɛ ababɛhyɛ nti already no manual no ma 1 or 2 years. But obi a opese or de kɔ eye 3 years no eno no be an exceptional case eye bibi ena ama na ba ne sa bibi no ense mu kyerem ema conference no etiase na do ko hu se enura ye hyase no ye kama ye tiase se adwuma no ankasa ene asafo no ankasa eno na ewo insurance no my friend local church no but local church no wa hoden local church no na esi gina po ahodo bebre nanso ense say local church no hu say ode ne ho na emom no the structural arrangement of your church no omone conference na eye bianity no edi nsanwoso ahodo bebre ntini ye say manual ne ma sa 1 year 2 years provision no but se bibi a man ye soronku binti e wo say moya ade a na e wo say mo informe conference no mo ya we say ye de abc dinti no e be ma saafo ya ye de adwumaso na show mo say mo nda asofo na no omo bere ba ko aka ho ma na ye mfie miensa.
Exactly. Now the other amendment is actually an insertion. So the third paragraph, if you look at the current
manual,
church manual, you won't find this in there. So this is an insertion, a new insertion that says that the church may decide based on its needs that it will be best served with a standing nominating committee. As such, it may appoint such a committee which would function year-round to make nominations for vacancies or to fill regular positions identified in the church manual. It is so for the kind way no na yen kwanchechiri mu no.
Me kind.
Chechemu otwi mu ma me.
Sasa. Nti se wo hwe said the doc kan no a obehunu se bebia ye kan ye de uhunu wo manual no de wo se CIA 2015 de no uhunu wo a whole paragraph and ye de aba ba hyemu na de all kan say asori no eye adwene bi say ye de ye nominating committee na ye nim dada say ye yi na omukoyi asafo no mpanimfo no ba no yengu no ye be ma no awo ho afemu ni nyinara said ye be ya se akonwa bi to ewo mpanimfo no mu say bia bibi nti ese say ye pe obi foforo koye Sabbath school superintendent bibi nti o say ye pe obi foforo koye bibia na sa nominating committee na di djuma so de won baaye no won assign akotenase no mo yi nipa no no mo de na ba church as business na ya to no so aba no bi abeshem.
The difference here is that, as you pointed out, in the past, after the nominating committee has done its work, it is dissolved until another election year.
Sure.
But this provision allows that a church can decide that we have elected a nominating committee. After its work has been done at the close of the year, we will not dissolve it. There should still be a standing committee. So throughout the year, if an elder resigns, there's death, or somebody is removed from office, you don't have to constitute another nominating committee. You just call the standing committee to fill those vacancies. So that's the new insertion and the difference that we would have from the previous years.
And since Dr. Osha, who say answer na sa provision beba na ebi ho. De na ye ne senka nominating committee ni egunu wi a afa no na church board no and etena se efele sa position no. Enti asori bi betumi age atum se ye de sa process no te say de obi tumi ka say afi bi tumi ka say ye mo confirm enu ye mo nko afi ba ko no sa nso na say si ano with the current provision no asori betumi aka say well ye nominating committee mo atena ho teteneni ye nim sanka church board no betumi aye decide juma no sa si asori no option to move away from that traditional way na ye nim da no na omaka say nominating committee ntina ho na ondi sa adwumai emfama ye.
But I think this does not abolish
the
whole system
at all.
It still applies.
It still applies.
Say, based on the needs of the local church. So this doesn't mean say when we pick a nominating committee at the end of its work we shouldn't dissolve it, or where there's vacancy the church board should not.
Option back once I become.
Exactly. And another additional insertion which has been added, an insertion again on the nominating committee has been added, also on the chapter 9, and this says it speaks to the issue of quorum. How many people should we have before we start the work of the nominating committee at every sitting? And the insertion says that the quorum for the nominating committee may be decided by the church at the same time the committee is elected. Meaning that if you elect a 7-member committee, the very day we vote on them, we should also vote on the issue of quorum to say that you are 7 members, but when 5 meet, decisions can be taken. So that's an addition.
And who here, papa, who say what nominating committee, Jumanimbu and sorry, no more. edu baby obetumi akotena ase atwen so no obi emba obehu se afi na ye hunu de yen ye ho but we de yen ne ye de tumi na amamo se monkoye dok enu nso nti ene hia se nominations no as I say ye yi nkofo a we committed we dedicated wo ahofama na bribiara asori no da wakoma pono so enye sa problem we ebede awo ho na emom no sesi ano ye na ye de tumi na mamo ye sa kirem se mokọ na se mo 7 nipa 3 ba mo ye nipa 4 ba mo ye ye mpe se mbabeka che won say your timelines the last quarter of the year no ene edidi sa edwuma ni nyina ebinum tumi kwa January afefufuro no mu obekọ ne yesi o ye koye no obi amba enti yentumi am report na ye twekọ ye nim sa sesi yen ya mamu ahoden no timokọ na nipa 4 ba monye na monfa results I mean fine mo decisions no monfa mbreye mo de breye ya na eto aba ya na ritumi no mamu dia ebeto aba no ama ya to us and I think it's a good provision.
So it means that even starting from this year's nominating committee, as soon as we elect nominating committees, we should tell them at church at business what the quorum
is. And to who says, I will share manual no more. There you won as 19th edition now. Page 128, some page 131. But who say ye assign the abaha, say ye enforce it, and the framers of the constitution are very right on this very point, Doc.
Now, changes be about see when and how the nominating committee is appointed. There have been some changes in that paragraph.
Sure.
And the change reflects earlier change via ABBA. It's sure the change says when and how the nominating committee is appointed. The nominating committee shall be appointed early in the closing quarter of the election term. And see, what has been taken out is the church year. Because there's the understanding that it could be a 2-year term or a 3-year term. So instead of saying church year, the change now, the insertion is election term. So church year has been struck out and we have the term election term replacing that. Then as we go on, he says, and should report at least 3 weeks before the final Sabbath of the election term, except in the case of a standing nominating committee which functions all year round.
Exactly.
And if it is a committee we set up and dissolve, they should report 3 weeks before the final Sabbath
of the year.
But if it's a standing nominating committee, that doesn't apply.
So the continuity, that provision, we know, Doc, is taking care of the 2-year and the 3-year arrangement.
Exactly.
And no be more. It is a washer all this while, no. Sir, each year, no.
Now
conflicted with omu to meet business meeting to make say yenko 2 years, no.
Exactly.
As I say, until we are baby, no. Obi adwene baso, ebia at a business meeting po at the adwene tanta bi bae. Said the adwene tanta badia, then it must be solved.
Exactly.
And to we see and in fact, when I read this, I realized that yes, it was true. And whoever nyame adom and any bass, abuaye papa because now a conflict with the old arrangement. But now that you say, and again, it's a nominating committee now. Ebe juma all round no so no. Sa we nso ba be cover omo. Na boa omo mo tumi enya hoden no.
Yeah. Now, as we go on, you have still on nominations, and there's also another insertion, still on the issue of standing committee. Says in the case of a standing nominating committee, the board may fill any vacancies in their membership, or the organizing committee may choose to nominate a new list of members for the nominating committee for election by the church in business session. It's a new insertion.
Yes.
Because of the new introduction of a standing committee. So in the case of a standing nominating committee, the board may fill any vacancies in their membership, or the organizing committee may choose to nominate a new list of members for the nominating committee for election by the church. In if we have a standing committee, me a member, but my transfer, how should it be filled? How should I be replaced?
My position, no.
So here the church manual says, church board, no. Bet me a obi, I replace me on the standing nominating committee. Internona or modia can
announce to say organizing committee. No one say ye manual no doc ye wo a normal menu. Talking about the organizing committee. No. Organizing committee no. A kwai menu so ye benya either say church board no. Na ye yi nipa enum ana enson aka church board na ewo ho no ho. No more forming the organizing committee no.
To nominate the nominating committee
no. Enunti ena ode announce say committee no. It is either the church board or the organizing committee no who would announce say ebia yama church board no any nipa 5 no and so no ena kwadi sa adwuma na emom no ye pow organizing committee and kasa so bia detached from the board enom ko sa organizing committee no enso betumi afele sa vacancies
that might come
up in the course of the term no na aboa it will say share na ye pepepe nominating committee na ntumi nkwotena senka say obi efrimu ya na yakopo obi abeshim
so you can't replace members who leave.
Exactly.
The church board should do that, or the organizing committee should do that. Okay. Another amendment still on the nominating committee has to do with, it says the organizing committee recommends name to the church for the nominating committee. And not they will order that. What has been added is this.
Committee.
Every effort should be made to, okay, that's the sentence, and then I'll bring the insertion. Every effort should be made to ensure fair representation in the composition of the nominating committee and the work board. In the composition of the nominating committee, representing a range of age groups and both genders. And limiting representation to no more than 2 members from the same immediate family. Into where you are there, shame. It has been added. So, on the nominating committee, we should have very elderly people. We should also have middle-aged people. We should have young people. We should have men, and we should have women. And it's instructive to know that they said on a nominating committee, you shouldn't have more than 2 family members. So you can't have a husband, a wife, and a son serving on the nominating committee.
Yes, constitution. Yes. Now, Doc, this insertion now comes to explain what the constitution means by fair representation. Can you know fair representation? But it almost look like at your discretion. So
most of the time, you remember someone for
I know, right? No, but I mean now, no. Maybe since I'm a kind way up, provision way up, fair representation. You my so you hear we know, but very clear. Say, I say, now very much so because I saw a composition of so sometimes we have a penny crown, nam penino, sign discuss it almost with themselves, what would either affect the young people, directly or indirectly. And many a times, but if you have one of them in our common language, now penino, utumede penny jane. To me the guide said the be beboa na into fair representation e dey yesre say ye man yes sir if we say boa ema empani na e be yi omo no obia o asoro no mu bia no ye can
represented
of or will feel belong so na aboa madwuma no akoso.
And Pastor, I want to indicate that this current year, this applies. So as we nominate, as we form organizing committees to nominate the nominating committee, we should be guided
by this
provision that we should have
a fair representation. Emma and wom. Yemfani say yefa 7 Emma 4 ebia mema 3 and I say mema 4 Emma 3. On say a fair. Now almost
out of the man we should have young ladies, old ladies, young men, elderly men. Okay.
Sir.
Yeah. Still on the same issue of nominating committee and elections, there's also an insertion that says that by vote, I'm reading the entire
insertion.
Yeah. By vote, the church appoints its officers for the ensuing year or years, who continue to serve until their resignation, replacement, or the beginning of the new election term. In Tusha, because of the provision for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, we have ensuing years. Yeah, the S, we have added S. And then it says that they would serve until their resignation. So if they have a 2-year term, and that term can only end if a person chooses to resign, or a person is replaced, or it's the beginning of an election term. Until the word year has been struck out, because they say it could be a 2-year term or a 3-year term.
And you know, Doc, so we share this current provisions here about we munina media manage home. I mean, the election term now makes provision whether 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in a shemu na obiaye covered. Again, no, I think say for the sake of continuity and you know, you will be a friend of institutional culture. Any idea no? Me feel say boa. Say we I say every year be a election. No? One a bre na mekano. I'm using it. I'm saying it advisedly. So I say every year be a see yes some penny for it is obesha. I was say by the end of the year no election process and cost so we say naturally in pema obi a oye adwuma no kra no or relax it because in penny for your day
exactly.
So natural
the term is basically like 9 months.
9 months
because from October
that be the one I know who say exactly. And I be no mo de omo sampo aka dwumadie bi a omo di masafo no e betumi a church building project a e bi wa a long term any ade moma no e bi a moma group no 2 years 3 years na I think say a well enough time for them to carry their dreams for the church all through. And then nso ma obiara enya no ho abuse term in the sense say there are structures and regulations that will guide and regulate the tenure of office for those mpanimfoɔ no. Yɛwɔ church at business wɔ hɔ, yɛwɔ church board no wɔ hɔ, yɛwɔ committees a yɛate a those enoma na ɔmo yɛ ama ɛyɛ asɔre ni nyinaa no ɔmo yɛ checks and balances. Enti so be as I say a group bi leadership be called 2 years 3 years me feel say suro any hu bi nim. But ohia asemi me kan we say manual no oka for the sake of continuity any normal san nti na na boa name especially your big churches now huge projects na there they bia also sansa no and also what ne disadvantage bia e de ba in the whole setup of leadership.
Exactly. But and it's for me I also find it gratifying that they also make provision. If within the course of the 2-year term, I decide I don't want to serve, I can resign.
Simple.
It's allowed. A non-performing person can also be replaced.
Exactly.
And so it makes allowance. So, I didn't intend on going all the 2 years, but I'm part of a 2-year term. I can gracefully resign, and that is also allowed. Now, the final change.
There is another one behind, so maybe this is one last but one.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of
the terms of office.
Terms of office.
This one has to do with filling vacancies between elections. So between one term and the other, there's a vacancy. Somebody has resigned. We've lost the person through death, or the person has been transferred, what do we do? Because the term is not over. The provision is that, I think because of the standing committee, there's this insertion. If an office, this is already there, if an office of the church becomes vacant during the term of office because of death, removal, resignation, or any other reason. Now this is the insertion. And there is no standing nominating committee to fill the nominations, the board may nominate a successor.
So it comes to reinforce, Doc, what Baby Autry Agency so said, that these provisions necessarily does not do away
with the board or the organizing committee.
You know, omo jumana no mo ye no kane no aha. Enti we eba chire mu nti ebia se wo tie adwumadi na se wo hwe na wo kra church man no na ubehunu se we ewo mu dada na boa amaye hu bet na enem se yakofa standing nominating committee provision na baninti no na wo se ye de bebata we hu na fe entiase no aye emu ada ho amaye nti insertion ayaye de ama ho nso se de be ya afe no ebedi mu na saa enkomodie no adwene ntanta biara emba ho.
Okay. Now the final amendment on church elections has to do with terms of office. Now currently what we have has to do with the 1 year and then the 2-year terms. But the insertion now says, and it's also because there's already a provision that says in exceptional circumstances and in consultation with the conference, the term of office may be extended an additional year to make up for the 3 years. So that insertion has been done because of the provision for an additional year to make it 3 years.
To where some chrono na ye kanu. But when say ade na ya dimu nti so wakoye wa ha and their hands of abeka ho said the be ni nyina no ebeko pe na ma obiara adwene ye ne ntanta ewo nti we ye nkomo a MC ye hyase no ye di ewo ho deda.
Then our next amendment has to do with the youth ministries. And you would find this on chapter 8, local church officers and organizations, from page 104 to 109. A lot of changes have been done to the youth department. Now the first one is the name. When you take your manual, the current manual says youth ministries. The changes that have been done, we have added Adventist to the youth ministries. So 2015 manual, you would find youth ministries. The 20th edition, you would see that there's an addition of Adventist. That's the title. So that's the first change.
Because your identity. So your identity, because every now department and much Sadie papa my name is Doko Kaya we are 7-day Adventists. Adventists. SDA for either Sobeka say Adventist and as Sobeka say 7-day Adventist. I remember that conversation so well. Na ebwa says Sianum a youth ministry, youth of Kuobay,
exactly.
And Babu Kuobay, we are Adventist youth ministries. And I think say ministries and so on, but first name AYS.
Yes, Adventist
society. But says Siano, you push the agenda of discipleship. And it's a major way in this new world. And you do say better because it is a fundamental beliefs here. Way back we you can say something spirituality. You know back we. Oh say it was a new idea. Yeah, the buy. Inti AYM na ya kan. Oh say you start kai. But this year there yeah they ashemu. Ankasa na ni nyina ye. Em say okay new insertion na yeah they aba na em say beboa me ya kire discipleship agenda na ye kan yi.
Yes. And there's apart from the heading, there's the editorial, some corrections in the first paragraph. In the current manual, you have the AYM. Now we want to clearly state what AYM means, because it could mean anything.
It could mean anything.
So it's been clearly spelled out. Adventist Youth Ministries into bracket AYM. Also
Case
for
closed.
clarity. So then in the same paragraph, at the last sentence, you have a whole insertion. It's not in the current manual.
Exactly.
But this has been inserted, and you would find it in the new
manual,
the updated version. And this says that in the quest for discipleship, the goal of AYM should be to bring all youth to a saving relationship with Christ, build them up in His Word to reflect a Christ-like character, train them how to serve the church and communities using their spiritual gifts, and send them out to reach the communities in the power of the Holy Spirit. Pastor, let's note the steps. 1, bring all of them. Let them accept Christ.
Sure.
Having accepted Christ, build them up in His Word to reflect His character. Then train them to serve not just the church, but the communities they live in, using their spiritual gift. And then finally, sending them off as disciples to reach the communities in the power of the Holy Spirit. So that's the new insertion. And then let me before you come in, quickly add that the current manual has as its second paragraph the Adventist Youth Ministry. That has been completely struck out. So in the amended one, you will not find that sentence paragraph in the new manual that would
exactly.
be published.
And Doc, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes.
So it makes a whole lot of sense. Na me baby a me depa ye chere emebunu no how to use their spiritual gifts.
Yes.
We are losing sight of that. And now almost we mean person feel comfortable to even say controversial issues. What them trying say? Now we must begin to inculcate in our young people the spirit of discipleship. Na sa discipleship o de we esuafo ebedi Yesu ekyiri. Na obia wadoma kyede soronko bi. Na sa adoma kyede soronko no eboa ma kingdom business no etumi ekoso. Enu ti AYM no enye twene bonko a. Se wo hu. Anase yekosoa efunu nko a. Na emum no eye bia yede mebunu kuo na wa asafo no nyina ebeboa no na yemomunya a saving relationship with God, kind of a redemptive relationship with Nyankopon. Sa nante na oni Awurade be nante a eye nkwagye asem anase nkwagye adwene no na ewo otirimu ebio yede onyankopon asem no hye won first no we master guide anase we na doc wada na ye ball papa o sorry ya prophecies no to me we we and then shut down tisa and shut down tisa kra na emom na yesa asem no ana mo ka keke ana mo sua keke ba o mo ya asem no so eyofo na de atwa to no so say ye betete won say adoma kyade a won fa mo asori no nko a na mpo mantam a won te na yemfa ne so obi ya nwumtuni obi ye obo organ obi nim preaching obi nim we no ense say de esikan ba na ense ye hunu ne ye adwuma no de amma no say ya ntete ye mabunu mo amfa mfi saa kwan no so a ebedu baabi no na I say mo pese me ye we de bu adwuma no kra na me what terms bia me sese mo na me kwansa and this entumi emwa.
Yes, so our youth ministries departments should take note of this.
Exactly.
Our curriculum should include all of this.
All of this.
Then after the AYM aim, the next paragraph also has some amendments, and these are major changes to the age groupings. The current manual, the youth ministries program of the church comprises 3 broad categories, namely junior youth, which are adventurous, In the current manual, the age grouping is 6 to 9 years for adventurers. But that has been changed.
Yes.
To 4. So it has been dropped from 6 to 4 to 9 years. So they constitute the adventurer group, who are the junior youth.
Yes.
Then we have the pathfinders. The pathfinders, the age category is 10 to 15. Senior youth, they are 16 to 21. Then we have young adults. Formerly, they were 22
to 30
plus. But they say, no, it's definite. 22 to 30.
Yes.
Then we have public campus students who are made up of persons aged 16 to 30 plus. So these are the changes. So the major one is the adventurer group. It's now ages 4 to 9. And then the young adults group is now ages 22 to 30. The 30 plus applies to the public campus.
Sure. Now, it's very much so because so far last one, it is because you're postgraduate students and so.
Yeah.
Postgraduate students, no. Why
yes.
Why Juma no aba. Into aba kwa na we PhD. Or fall into that category, you know. And on the campus, we also you know the I better here because still no omo 30 plus, you know. Omo buy say AYM no. I am non person, but so yes, they are going against the constitution.
Yeah. No, but you
that was on a lighter note.
Now, well, some further changes. You will find this on under Adventist Youth Ministries Committee. Formerly, that is, if you check page 133144, formerly we used to have the AYM sponsor. But the word sponsor has been changed to advisor. See, that's another change.
Yeah.
Then there's an insertion. The insertion here is the young adults leader. So what we are talking about is the Adventist Youth Ministries Committee. Who are the members of this committee? There's some addition to it. So in that paragraph, the word sponsor has been replaced with advisor. And then there's a new insertion that says the young adults leader would be a member of the committee, the ambassador leader, the pathfinder director, adventurer director, public campus ministries leader are now members of the church board.
Dr. Yancy Subiona Yantiasi.
Now, your question is emphasized again. Here we have under this Adventist Youth Ministries Committee, sub-provision, that's the paragraph we are discussing.
Sure.
Now, under that paragraph, the old manual, 2015 manual, has the AYM advisor, AYM sponsor. The word sponsor has been changed to advisor.
Advisor, yes.
Now, there's a new insertion that says that the young adults leader, the ambassador leader, the pathfinder director, the adventurer director, and the public campus ministries leader are members of the church board.
Yes.
So we would find currently there may be some of these people who are already on church board, but from this year, these people would have to be elected
to the church board.
Yes, first given offices. And then they should be part of the church board.
So by default of their offices, somebody hold, you know.
Yes.
Almost your automatic members
of the church.
Who's the first, you know? Yananka, yama first part na youth leader no pe, and okay the pathfinder, beka. But now it's been widened.
Yeah.
To who say young adults leader, by ambassador leader, by pathfinder director, adventure director, and a public campus ministries leader,
and a young adults leader.
Where Hanusisi and from public campus coordinators.
Yeah.
It is our group, those kind group of people in Assisia, Omako church board, no, by default, say, Omoye leaders in those respective departments.
Yeah. Okay. Now, still under youth ministries, there's been some deletions and insertion.
Insertions.
Yeah, was it the AYM leader, formerly known as the AYS director, who is a member of the board, chairs this committee. As I say, no, ye no free church manual. So as you can see, there's a line striking it out.
Sure.
The new insertion says that the young adults leader may chair the AYM committee. As of for the AYM committee, Omunie, Adventist Youth Ministries, or see it's a umbrella organization for we. Now the committee includes the young adults leader, public campus ministries leader or coordinator, ambassador leader, pathfinder director, adventure director, personal ministries leader, youth youth Sabbath school division leader, children ministries leader, health ministries leader, principal of the school, the AYM advisor, and the rest young adults leader. They form the committee. And this provision is saying that instead of the AYS director chairing, which is the current norm,
sure,
now it is the young adults leader who may chair the AYM committee. And any change come. And as we go on, before we take the comments that are coming in, there's also a deletion under the Pathfinder committee. It says the part that the last sentence is deleted now. The director is a member of the board and the Adventist Youth Ministries committee. That part has been deleted and taken out of the manual. So you currently have it in the old 2015 manual, but the new manual that will be published, you won't find that.
You won't find the last one.
The last sentence.
The director is a member of the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Now on the Adventure Club, and also because earlier on there was a change, so it needs to reflect here. So the age, we've deleted 6 to 9 year old
to 4 to 9 years,
and then inserted the new age range, 4 to 9 years. See, that's another change that has been done.
Sure.
Adventure Committee, the sentence that reads, the director is a member of the AYM Ministries Committee, has also been struck out, because already we have a list of those who serve, and he's a member, and they've been struck out. Now, in terms of, you have a point?
No, it's okay. I was just going to the other, the AYM.
Now, in terms of AYM officers, now there used to be 4.
Sure.
Now the Constitution, the manual makes provision for 5. So 4 is struck out, and 5 youth ministry entities must exemplify Christ-like graces. There's a new insertion again on in the second paragraph, which says the 5 leaders or directors are members of the church board. Yes, so it's been emphasized here.
Yes.
So it means that this year, when we elect the leaders, Adventist Young Ministries Committee, Public Campus Ministries, Ambassador, Pathfinder, they all will be members
of the church board. Sure.
Then the second paragraph under AYM officers, we have their respective sponsors struck out and then replaced with the word advisor.
Because as you sponsors
if formerly you were an AYM sponsor, so you're advisor.
I know, right? Until post so post no ya kire me
we should not have,
because it will be baby sponsor will be no.
It's been replaced with advisor.
I am advisor.
Exactly.
And no thought was to be brave. Yet, doc, but it's important to know still you strike certain never been so efimu bio.
Yes.
even post our say okay the same, but we mu can also the sponsor would work with the AYM leader to present the ministry's need to a board. And here because it's your munyinara a part of the board. In terms of assembliara, a honorable
exactly.
On depending on Obia to go and do that.
And it's important that we mentioned that this is not to take anybody's food, because in the past, if you had been meeting with the AYM director and then submitting to the board, from this year they tell you that will not be the case. It's not. It shouldn't be a person. Sure. Don't take it personal.
Sure.
But they're just going according to the manual.
Sure.
All right. And then because we have struck out the sponsor will work with the AYM leader, you realize that in the next paragraph we've taken out the sponsor. So it is the ministry leader should become acquainted with the conference youth ministry. So here again, it is no longer the sponsor, but rather the ministry leader who directly works with the conference youth ministries director and keeps him informed. So as we've indicated, wherever you see sponsor, the change is been changed to advisor.
So to sponsor now, no, so attend the conference youth training institute, you know, as I saw Koso, a year because sponsor now is your advisor. And dog, it cuts through because sponsor no appear. I mean, the word sponsor appearing so many times in all of those paragraphs.
Yeah.
And until as a sansa advisor, no, you find all those ones, you know, changing. So they be conforming with current material now.
Yeah. And Pastor, because of the changes to the youth ministries, there's also some changes to the constitution of the church board. So, under department 5 now, and our leaders 5 now, they are now added to
the church board.
But let's also note that apart from the 5 youth leaders, we also have the Adventist Possibility Ministries leader.
Okay, so also
church board.
Church board here.
Yes, and the Adventist Possibility leader is the person in charge of our brethren who are disabled in a way, the hearing impaired, the physically challenged, those who are visually impaired, they can't see, they can't hear, they can't speak. The Adventist Possibility leader is a person who is in charge of seeking the welfare of these people and representing them on the church board. Ordinarily, we don't have Adventist Possibility leaders in our local churches. But now we have to appoint.
Doc, I see a say Adventure Club, they are in the system already.
Yes.
We are regularizing them in a way.
Yes.
But these two leaders here, the campus ministries coordinator.
Yeah.
Any Adventist Possibility Ministries leader.
Yeah, and then the young adults leader.
Say, before this, a war conference, any union,
any
local church, into a coordination,
because who do you work with at the lower level?
Into conference, meaning conference is they were torn between these issues. Into public campus ministries coordinator Adventist Possibility anybody amba apokra, but this reinforces why I sorry no one say even doc Adventist Possibility ministries leader no it didn't ever first then enter, but the church has thought through that and that group of individuals say oh sorry no mu here pa etejuma son wo omomo so say I say obey omo kasama afo ewo ehomo enunti sa agenda na yedi training ombe sign they must champion it at the church board so that the church at business could take very strong and critical decisions to support these our brethren omoka yehone ade so the local churches so to say for example this year ube who say public campus ministries weekend no. A base time eba no student ni nyina wo fie.
So there's a
need no man anka ye be wo campus na enam so mo fie ye now we must have somebody to coordinate it at the local church level. Inti ama adwuma no be ye mre. Anyway enye nyame na aya na hwan na aye. Inti eye pa.
So that's the new constitution of the church board. So you would find that Adventist Youth Ministries leader has been taken out, Adventure Club director struck out, Ambassador Club director leader taken out, but they are made up for up there. So let's note that public campus. So these have been struck out. So if you get the new church manual, the ones that are struck out, provision is made for them under the youth ministries, Adventist Youth Ministries.
Yeah.
Pastor, well, now let me take some comments that have come in because our time is almost up. Today we have from Entry, he says, good evening, Dr. Solis. Please, my question is it normal for the district pastor and the first elder to take major decisions without informing the board?
Just you cannot take arbitrary decisions, sir. I was said, but now just a grave blunder that will come on the part of any pastor or elder. But mube to me nya dai so no ebobo ho ba mo nhye mo ho en tu sa na mo no without the board. Na board no so po nim sen so ha board na wie when he uses a major decision. And that's why I hear fat that line. It's the board no so po kwadwento so so for any asorpani adwen amode abaye adwene pa enso ha e wo se mo sign the call na afei abaye bibia mo betumi de tu anamo am said e betumi aka wo.
Yeah, but let me just sound a caution here because we do not know the
context,
the context and the true situation. To be wrong, my brother to say, oh, pastor say, it will create confusion.
Anyway,
so under normal circumstances, this should not be done.
Yes.
But we do not know the kind of situation you are talking about. But it's not normal under normal circumstances.
Sorry, also a sign will be say bia ye de adwuma bi ahempenin fo bi nsa. Bia at that time na decision they take no. Ye nyo bia map preoccupy me ye to me take decisions be so na rectify
exactly.
Rectify a war the major body na as a senketu sana mo ntia make say sana mo to no kwa say board no da achi be ka say ye nim ho hwe de it must not come
exactly. Okay. And now this person, there's no name, says, now what I see is that public campus ministries has been added to the Adventist Youth Ministries. Exactly. Then with all these changes and additions, also there's no name. With all these changes and additions, and there's no hard copy, how many can work with it this year? Well, the good news is that all the changes are online. You can get the amendments
it's online.
For those who may need to use it until the hard copy of the book is out. And most of the time, you would also find the soft copy on the manual online. But currently, all the amendments, once you just Google it, you would find it.
Exactly.
And the pastor, today, we would end on these two because our time is almost up and we do not want any... okay. Maybe we will take one more because we don't have any more questions. And this has to do with Redemptive membership review. It's a new section that has been added. So, and it's, if you look at chapter 6 of our current church manual, which deals with membership in terms of membership record. So after the paragraph on membership record on page 55, this is newly inserted, this section, and that talks about redemptive membership review. Membership records are kept up to date by the local church. They are subject to review by the next higher organization. This rule, which also applies to every entity or level of the church, provides maximum privacy of members' personal information and should comply with legal requirements. Because the church will take all my details, my age, my spouse's name, my children's name. You have no idea where that information would land. So privacy issues are paramount. Our time is up. Tomorrow we'll realize that the manual even talks about abiding by the prevailing laws of the country.
Of the country, yes.
So this is where we would bring our discussion for today to an end. We would go into this in depth tomorrow.
God willing.
So in sum, we have looked at changes that have been done to the nominating committee, terms of elections, quorums, how many people should constitute a quorum, and that has to be voted by the church board. We have looked at changes to the youth ministries department and which changes have affected the constitution of the church board. Tomorrow we would look at more changes. We would look at more changes and also touch on some very controversial things on ordinations. I think that subject it's a very touchy one, and that generated a lot of debate at the session. Tomorrow we would look at this as one of the subject matters for discussion. So, Pastor, once again, thank you for helping us to understand the changes that have come up.
And thank you for having me.
And may the Lord keep us safe until we meet again next time at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, sorry. I almost said next week. Why am I confusing? Watch these signs. We'll meet again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Until then, keep the faith and may the Lord keep us. Have a good night. Bye-bye.